Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Let's create a sketchbook page together. We're going to do the one on the left page. It's a watercolor background and fine liners on top. You can choose any flower you like or any other subject you like. It doesn't have to be flowers, just it has to be something you like to draw and make it fun. Okay, so let's start. I started with a watercolor background and I used the Kuretake Gansai Tambi watercolor paints. I just put on some paints, made it a bit of a rainbow colored background, but you can do anything you like. I think because I did different colors, I really liked the effect that it had in the end, but it can be a solid color, it doesn't really matter. You can choose any color you want, except I would do a bit of lighter color because that has a nice contrast with the black. Then we start the drawings. I used a fineliner, and it doesn't have to be a water-resistant one. It can be any fineliner you have lying around in your home. If it makes a line and it is dark, it can also be a blue one or a dark gray one. That doesn't really matter. As long as it has contrast with the background, it's good. I drew some poppy flowers because that's what I love to draw. I love to draw flowers because I think they're a bit forgiving. If you draw a petal too big or the stem too small, well, that doesn't really matter. So it's an easy way to relax and fill your sketchbook page. I did use a reference for these drawings, but I didn't draw them exactly like they were on the reference picture. I just started the big contours and then filled it in the way I liked it. I'm adding detail as well, thinking about where the drawing is darkest, where it is lightest, and where the most light is, I basically do nothing. Adding details again, making the darkest places dark, and using different kinds of marks like dots and zigzags to create more interest. Then I am drawing some leaves. These one I just made up. I looked at the shape of the leaves in the picture and then decided to draw them myself, but decide on the general shape and the way they flow. I like it when I can give my illustrations more of direction. So that's what I'm doing here, just drawing them intuitively and adding as much or as little as detail as I like. I used one fine liner, but you can use different sizes and do the details with the smallest one and do the outlines with the bigger one, so that could give you a little bit more interest. I'm also drawing the poppies, doing a bit of a continuous line, looking at my reference and then not looking at my drawing, and then just picking up my pen sometimes, but leaving it as much on the paper as I can. Now I'm starting with the pimpernels, the bog pimpernels. And I'm taking my time. This is just for fun. You don't have to hurry or rush. I really like to make small stripes to give accents. But it can be anything. You can make your marks in any way you could also do this with like a gouache and do it with dots or just anything that feels good to use and that gives you the lines that you want. I'm just taking my time. As you can see, I was doing the continuous line again, just drawing an outline of a flower and then filling it in. I really like that practice because it gets me out of my head and looking more at the subject instead of thinking if I can draw this correctly or if all of the shapes are right, if all the petals are in the right place. Just looking at my reference and not looking at my paper really helps in getting a confident line on paper basically. And then you can add as much flowers or whatever the subject is that you chose onto your page. You can fill it completely, leaving just little space to make darker in the last phase, or you can leave lots of it open, whatever you fancy. I try to do like a bit of an overall composition, filling the space equally with flowers and leaving some parts open to then make a darker color, in this case black. I'm hoping that gives it balance. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just filling the page, not thinking too much about what I am drawing, where things have to be. The only thing I'm thinking of is, can I put the flowers on the page differently, facing a different way, so they have more interest maybe? If the petals were all facing the same way, then it might be a bit too repetitive. I then added a few smaller leaves and some dots. So now it's time to fill in the negative space, which basically is everything that you didn't draw. And it's just like a coloring page, so I'm just coloring in the parts that I didn't draw with a fineliner that has a slightly bigger nib. You could do a very large nib to do it quickly, but I like the meditative quality of it, so I just took my time, but you can do it any way you like. Because I now made the background black, it makes the illustrations stand out, it makes them pop, and I think the watercolor rainbow adds a really nice effect to the page. Then I added some extra details, making some parts, some lines slightly thicker to create some more depth. Added a bit more shadow, and that's basically it. So I hoped you liked this small sketchbook exercise and it gives you the inspiration to do something like this yourself at home. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And happy creating.